Welcome to Opinion Havers, a movie podcast for people dressed up like Charles Dickens. I'm Cody.
And I'm Tyler.
Tyler, what did we watch?
We watched Wonka.
Yeah, we did. Tyler, what even? What's this one about?
This one is about dreams, Cody. It's about dreams. It's about contracts and legal proceedings. It's about, the dangers of sugar and what it can do to not only you, but society as a whole.
I love it. No, it's great. It's about... You ever seen Muppet Christmas Carol?
Not in a long time.
Well, Timotee Chalamet in this movie dresses exactly the way Gonzo dresses in the Muppet Christmas Carol. And Gonzo in the Muppet Christmas Carol is playing Charles Dickens. And he's the narrator for the... Get out here. If you're here and you're watching Christmas Carol movies that are not Muppet Christmas Carol... then you need to get right. Get your life right, my guy. There's songs. There's silliness. It covers the whole book. Michael Caine's in it, and he sings. So what else do you want? You want to watch some old-timey Christmas Carol that's got no heart, no soul, no rats skating on ice singing? That's not... Do yourself a favor, This holiday season, or next holiday season, because this is not going to come out in time for Christmas, watch them up at Christmas Carol. Tyler, what'd you think of the movie? Give me your hot take.
Cody, it's,
Not for Wonka, for Muppet Christmas Carol.
It was, I found it strange as a child. I thought, but they're puppets. That's what I said. Everybody said they're Muppets.
They're Muppets.
Trademark, TM, copyright, Muppets. Okay.
Yeah.
And I said, I will not buy in to this cult of Jim Henson that you all are.
Brian Henson directed it. It was his son. Jim Henson died a grisly death. All right. He was murdered by the bald eagle one. Sam the Eagle Muppet murdered him. All right. That's what people don't understand. His son has been seeking revenge ever since.
Against the Muppet?
Tyler, what'd you think of Wonka?
I was pretty good. I liked it a lot, I know you're gonna come in here.
I'm gonna spoil this for you a little bit. I loved it. Bailey, she's a little Grinch. She was like, I wanted to like it more than I did. I was like, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, it's over. I sent her packing. I'm keeping the baby, and that's that. But don't worry. I'm going to get the Steelbook, and I'm going to raise this child right,
You're going to get the Steelbook? I was going to get the Steelbook.
Oh, it's going to be delightful.
I can just imagine. It's going to be so purple, It's going to be purple and brown. The best color combination.
Yes, love it.
Here's the thing. Everybody's like...
I'm wearing right now.
Everybody knows one thing about... we've been talking a lot about football, you and I, recently. Everybody knows Chargers, worst color combination. Here's what I'm pitching.
How dare you?
Purple and brown. Change it up. Wear trench coats out on the field.
I mean, the nice thing about the Chargers is, what even does it mean? You could put any colors with the Chargers and make it work. So, I mean, you could also... The Browns would be a good one.
The Browns?
Switch.
But I feel like...
Browns colors
too obvious.
Are white and orange. Stupid. Make it purple and brown, make the brown more prominent, and honor whatever. Paul Brown, is that his name? Who's the brown guy the Browns are named after?
I think it's just
their
after
logo
the dirt,
is a football helmet.
Yeah.
What even is that?
Look,
it's
you
just
out
a
here
football
thinking
helmet.
Here's the genius.
And they're the worst.
Everybody's out here printing their team logo on the helmet. And someone back in the day, and the Browns was like, I've got it. We'll make the logo a helmet. Then you don't.
It's just some guy that hated putting the decals on the helmet and was like, no. Save a step.
Think of the millions of pesos that have been saved by the Browns by not printing
and their logo. What do they spend that money on? I turned around. Your door opened behind you, and I was like, who's in my room? That's not how cameras work. Oh, how? Hold on. Is that a popcorn bucket?
Oh.
Is that a popcorn bucket in the shape of Willy Wonka's hat?
Yes.
AKA Charles Dickens' hat? AKA Gonzo's hat?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I didn't even know they had that. Oh, I didn't even visit the concession stand when I went. I feel robbed. I had a gift card. Oh, we got to turn off the podcast. I got to go watch this movie with the hat the way.
Here's what's going to blow your mind, Cody. Let me take my headphones off for a second, all right? Yeah. And then I want you to describe what you're seeing and why it's so amazing, because you'll know. You'll know when you see it.
Okay. Oh, if it's perfect. Oh, my gosh. It's like it was made for you. Do the dance. Do it. Oh, you can't hear me. Ugh. What a waste. What a waste.
Oh, yeah. It's so good.
I missed all my instructions.
You told me to do a little dance, but I feel like I did as much as I...
You already did it, but I just wanted more.
It looks like it's made out of chocolate. It's not.
Is it?
No.
Did you try to bite it, though?
I thought about it. But it does look like it's made out of chocolate. And I was like, oh, they just didn't paint it or something. But I was like, but it feels like it adds to it. You know, it's got Wonka. It says it right there. You can't see it, but the people can hear it. See? Listen. You know? They definitely didn't pick up on the mic.
Wow.
It says don't put it in the microwave. Just so you know. You can't put this in the
microwave. Who's going to microwave their hat? These people.
But you know, it's they brought it to me. They handed me the popcorn bucket, okay? Because it's a dine-in theater, so they bring it to you to your seat, you know.
All right.
Order ahead on the app, you know, like a cool guy.
Wow.
And they handed it to me, and I was like, why is there a ring around the popcorn bucket? Because all I could feel was the brim of it. And I thought it just had like a ring to hold it. And I was like, what is the point of this ring? And then Tiffany reminded me that no, we did pay probably an obscene amount of extra money for a hat. Which our AMC does not, they never put the popcorn into the special bucket. We asked them about it once, and they were like, most people are like, they don't want it in there because it's a pain to clean them.
That's so funny. It's like, we made this to be a bucket. Would you like to use it for its purpose? No, I would not. You're like, why?
Well, to be fair, like we learned with the Fast and Furious bucket, which is just a toy car with the top cut off.
I mean, really, it's just a racket where they're selling toys at like 500% markup, and
I probably paid $40 for this hat. You know, it's just a plastic hat.
I mean, you could have bought like a real leather hat, you know?
Yeah, but it is
that kind of money.
It is surprisingly good when we found out that it actually will fit on an adult head.
No, that's because normally you get that and it's like, okay, this might fit like a toddler, you know, it's not real size. That's like a hat-sized popcorn hat, bucket hat.
Yeah.
I love it. And I feel so sad for me for not having it.
And what, you know, I ate that. And I got a burger delivered to my seat with just to rub it in, you know.
Their burger's not bad.
It's not bad. It is like $25 though.
I feel like it's a lot less than that here. So
I mean, it's definitely less than that here. You
just live in the wrong part of the country.
How dare you, sir? You, dude. I live in the only part. I told somebody once here that Connecticut wasn't that bad, and I was smacked in the face. You know? How dare I even talk about going anywhere even close by that is not pure New England?
Love it. You know, I love the passion. I admire it.
Cody, let me ask you this. Since you brought it up,
Yeah.
let's really get into it for a second here, okay? Where does New England end? Let's go through what is New England.
Oof. Oh gosh. Yeah, I know Massachusetts is New England.
All right.
I can only guess that places like New Hampshire count because that's a very English name.
Okay.
Let me pull up a map really quick.
That's fine. Yeah, pull up a map. It's not a, you don't got to remember.
Northeast U.S. map. Let's just see what we get. All right, I'm looking at states from Maine all the way down to Delaware or Maryland. Yeah, I mean, New England, I would say, is probably like, gosh, what even counts? Is it?
That's why I'm asking you.
It's
and
not
I want
New
you
York.
to ask.
New York isn't New England.
Here's what I want you to do, though.
Massachusetts is.
From your heart, though. Don't try to guess it right. Tell me what you grew up thinking it was.
Look, as someone from the West Coast who now lives in the Midwest, I would say Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, all New England. Tell me what the mass holes say.
Okay, so here's the thing. You've listed off all the states that can be said are undeniable. That is New England as far as New Englanders are concerned. Now, Connecticut is the epitome of we grant you a seat on this council, but not the rank of master. Okay.
There is like that whole southern bit of Connecticut's just like New York suburbs, right? Where it's
Connecticut,
like where rich people live.
Yes.
That don't want to live in New York City, but want to live near New York City.
You talk to Connecticut, not different at all from the rest of New England.
You know what's crazy? I'm looking at this map once again from the West. There's like 3 states. You know what I'm like? They're big. They're spread out. You can't miss them. I'm looking at the map of the Northeast, and it's like, oof, there's a lot of you guys crammed in there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I am shocked. I'm gobsmacked that Connecticut is not south of New York. You know, like, it is blowing my mind that east of New York is Connecticut.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? Some people now, you say New York, not. Upstate New York is sometimes lumped in.
No.
Yes.
How?
Because it's like,
How?
Because there's 2 New Yorks. There is New York City, New York.
And the rest of New York.
And then there's upstate New York. But it's not all of upstate New York. It is northeastern New York. Because it's basically
New York, dude. I've been to New York City. I've been to Tarrytown.
Yeah.
I took a run. I ran up to Sleepy Hollow. Ran across a bridge. Did not die. Took an Uber home. So.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time around Albany and up around, let's see, where's like Plattsburgh. And then sometime around like Syracuse and
these
Buffalo.
These are not places, dude.
So, you know, I've been a little bit.
Buffalo does not give me New England vibes.
Buffalo, I don't think, see that the bubble never extends to Buffalo, right? At best, you'll get down to Albany. It's the epitome of like, oh, we'll adopt this area of nothingness. It's nothing. There's nothing up there. It's basically Canada. So I never understand why they do it. But here's the thing. My favorite thing is to be talking to these people up here. And like, especially someone who's like from down in Philadelphia or something, and be like, I need you to understand that as a Midwesterner, you know, it's Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, all of them. You're all New England. All this old country type stuff. Anywhere where I can go and be within 5 miles of a large Amish community, that's New England. And they're like, how dare you, sir? But I say to them, you don't even think Connecticut is part of New England. So which one of us is right here? All right. I think it's everywhere. I think it's all this East Coast. It's all New England. All right. When do you leave New England? When you hit Ohio. That's when you're no longer in New England. All right. And I live here. People have a visceral reaction to Connecticut. Okay, Cody? But let me tell you, when you leave Massachusetts and hit Connecticut, it's like the cloud lifts. The roads are smoother. The people are nicer. The birds are a little happier.
So you're saying it doesn't count?
Exactly. So I'm saying that I think they are just as happy not being included as like Massachusetts, which is undeniably Massachusetts is the king of New England. Anybody who ever will tell you differently is a crazy person from Maine, and you don't listen to those people. Okay, they export two things: lobster and sadness. That's it. That's all they export. That's all they do in Maine. Okay, there's a reason Stephen King's like, oh, murder, set it in Maine. Okay. Massachusetts is it's just the worst. You want to move here and be happy? Here's what I'm going to tell everybody. Everywhere is expensive. Just go to Vermont.
Ooh, nice.
Just go to Burlington. You're going to be happier. Because if you're willing to live in Boston, but you're not moving to New York, I question what's wrong with you at that point. You know what I mean? I like Boston more than New York sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you're going to live in the city, Cody, if you're going to live in the city, my son, why do you want to go to Boston? It's the worst of the big cities. Traffic in Boston will delay you more than rush hour traffic. Normal traffic in Boston will statistically, like, proven delay you more than traffic in Los Angeles at rush hour.
Oh, man.
Cody, we've all seen the movies. Los Angeles sucks, according to the movies, when you're driving. Mm-hmm. Even though every time I've driven in Los Angeles, it was like 6 lanes with no cars in it, which was fun. But, except for the like constant stream of cars in the far left lane going about 180 miles an hour. Aside from that, here's the solution, Cody. Let's all move to Chicago. I hear there's something to do with their traffic, right? They got something.
Tyler, you want to dive right into this movie?
Let's dive into it, Cody. Hop in to my cart. Just swaddle yourself up. Cody, swaddle yourself. Get in my rolling large bucket for clothing, aka my cart, my clothes cart. And let's just wheel ourselves over to Spoiler Town, USA, and spoil some stuff. Okay, you ready? Spoilers. Dumbledore did it. Okay, he did it the whole time. Dumbledore did 9/11. Dumbledore did the Porsche 911.
Dumbledore is gay. That's what you.
That's what I was gonna say, but then I felt
remember when
you told me about your friend, and I didn't want to trigger anybody.
Remember when J.K. Rowling was like, Dumbledore's gay, idiots. And then 10 years later got canceled for being anti-transgender. That was just my favorite. It's like, why'd you make him gay if you weren't even going to be an advocate for the whole LGBT fam, All
right, you brought it up, Cody. You've opened the floodgates. Let's talk about it. Because here's my favorite insanity. Because I think both sides of this whole thing with J.K. Rowling, it's just a cluster of insane people. Because you take somebody, J.K. Rowling, known for being for so long to be an ally, gives a lot of money to women's charities, right? Then you're like, why will you not help transgender people? Then she says, well, because they're not women. And then you're like, that's it, we're fighting. And then she, instead of being like, well, I mean, let's agree to disagree or anything, she's like, no, let's double down. So then what happens? You have radicalized J.K. Rowling, and then she in turn has radicalized so many other people. And it's such vehement hatred from two groups of people that used to love each other.
Have I seen any of the new movies, the Fantastic Beasts stuff? No. Have I read The Cursed Child or any Harry Potter books outside of 1 through 7? No, not even a little bit. To this day, I believe she was trolling that interviewer, I think the interviewer was like, does Dumbledore find love? And she's like, well, he's 1,000 years old and he's gonna die in this book series. So no, but I'm gonna tell you he's gay anyway. That's my opinion. But also, doesn't he make out with Johnny Depp? I don't know. I haven't seen.
How
these
dare
movies.
you, sir? He shares. Okay, now here's the thing. You're gonna sit here. You're gonna tell me. You can say whatever you want, but I get teary-eyed. All right, there's him and Mads, my boy Mads Mikkelsen. They share a moment in their movie when they recast Johnny Depp as Mads Mikkelsen, and it tears me up every time. And then there's a brief second where I just envision Mads Mikkelsen and what's his face, the guy Jude Law, just going at it, just sucking face, and it takes me out of it, and then I get teary-eyed again. Because it's just like, it's like, now kiss. And I just imagine them like slamming together and just going nuts on each other. And it's like every time, it's so ridiculous. Because I don't know if you're aware of this. In the movie, they're supposed to be the same age. Mads Mikkelsen looks a solid 40 years old than Jude Law. And it's a little bit like, ooh, this may be a little, it feels like it's like, ooh, you have been groomed, but no, you're supposed to be the same age. This is just kind of poor casting, or maybe like, de-age Mads or age up Jude Law. Do something here. Make it feel less like, oh, he was my professor and I love him. Let's clear that out. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want. You know what I mean?
I haven't seen him, but I believe you. Tyler, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I want to go first. Okay, here. Let me. I never have my clock pulled up. Dude. Look, you've been steamrolling me recently, and this is me steamrolling you. Going first. Are you ready? Do you have your timer up so you know? Okay, here we go. Cody, shush your face. Here's the thing. Okay, let's talk about this movie. This movie, I'm gonna say it. Cody, get ready for the bomb. Put your helmet on. Get your hat. Clutch it tight. Grab your pearls. Clutch them. Get ready. This is the best Wonka movie. I said it. It's the best one. This is. Oh no. The thing came off a little bit. No, it's fine. We're fine. The very rim is a separate piece. I just found that out, but it's fine. It clicked back on. Here's the thing. I think that this movie is better than the original one. Oh, let it sink in, Cody. Let it sink in. Let's sit in silence. Let's just sit in silence for 4 minutes while you process what I've just said. Psych! This movie, I liked this one better than, oh gosh, what was the actual name of that one? The Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right? Yes. Don't get me wrong, Cody. I loved it. But let's be honest, we've all seen the clip of Gene Wilder being like, I want to get his cane stuck. Then I do the role. And then you never know whether to trust him or not. And it's like, Gene, this is a guy owns a chocolate factory. Let's get your head out from between the butt cheeks and let's just make a movie, shall we? And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, this is the same man that starred the leading role in Blazing Saddles. So I cannot take anything you say forever seriously. I'm sorry, Gene Wilder. I love you. I'm sure you have a lot of deep conversations with a lot of deep people. But nothing you say can be deep in my mind because of the roles you've played, and I feel bad about that, but it's the facts, okay? I'm out here speaking the truth, and much like Jesus, they hate me because I speak the truth, okay? But Timotee Chalamet, here's the thing. He's coming from the opposite direction. He always plays such a sad boy, and he came in to play such a delightful character, and he nails it. When he does this, I thought it wasn't going to land. When he does the, wait, strike that, reverse it, I was like, oh, he nailed it. It's so good. And then, look, here's the thing. Let's talk about the real elephant in the room, okay? And I'm not talking about, like, all the allegations that are, or nothing to that, okay? That's not what I'm talking about, Cody, because there are none. Look at your face. There's no allegations. Hugh Grant. I hate him now, okay? Not because of anything, but because this man has done nothing but whine and complain about how awful this movie was to make. The guy's in a solid 13. He has a solid, 13 lines in the movie and maybe 5 minutes of screen time. And he's like, it was awful. I hated every minute of it. It's like, Hugh Grant, I hope you get I hope you get door dinged in the grocery store parking lot. All right, that's what I hope. I will curse you with that. Okay, because what? And then he's like, hopefully this won't traumatize my children like Paddington. Okay, we looked it up. Paddington is Cody. He just plays a guy, right? I don't know. Did I look this up with you or just with Tiffany? Because he talked about Paddington as another thing that he hated and traumatized his children. But let's talk about Hugh Grant again. The man's like 85 years old. If his children are getting traumatized by roles he's playing, then I think he has messed. I think there's something wrong with his kids. They're like in their 60s at this point, probably, right? Like, come on, man. You know, like, tell him to get over it. You're an actor, okay? Like, do you think, I don't know if he has kids, but if anybody's kids, any actor's kids have reason to be traumatized, it's Andy Serkis. And we never hear about any of his kids getting traumatized. That man he's been a monkey. He's been a little wretch trying to steal a ring and everything in between, okay? Hugh Grant, what does he do? He sings a couple songs. He's just small Hugh Grant. There's nothing weird about it. Like, there's nothing, like, he doesn't do anything embarrassing. He's just small. That's the entirety of his character. And I'm so mad that I heard so much about how much he hated doing this movie. Let's get back to the good stuff, though, Cody. I was tickled pink. I was just so tickled the whole time as the police chief, Mr. Keegan Michael Key just got fatter and fatter. I loved every minute of it. Just a true delight. Okay, him, get Cody. He got stuck in the car. Look at me. Look into my eyes, Cody. Look into my eyes. When I tell you, I've been there, Cody. I've been stuck in a tiny car's door. It's a struggle. Him when he gets up, so accurate, and I loved it. It's so good.
Tyler, I'm gonna have to cut you off, and I hate to do it because you've been doing a great job, but no, shush. I'm going now. Tyler, let's talk about Hugh Grant for a while. So here's the thing. I mean, I've heard him in interviews be like, I think most my female co-stars from my rom-com days hate me. And they're like, no, they couldn't hate you. He's like, they probably do. And I don't really blame them. Like, who are you? Who is this guy? I love it. I love that he's such a curmudgeon. I've seen Paddington 1, did not see Paddington 2. Is he in Paddington? Because I don't recall him from Paddington. Paddington. What a delightful movie, you know? What a sweet film. What a sweet little bear. He's got the hat. He's got the coat. He likes marmalade. Good for him. So I don't know, but good for Hugh Grant. I'm so glad it was him because you could feel it. You could see it and feel it. And I knew that he hated it because I had seen the quotes. And so the whole movie, I was like, oh, this is so much fun to watch him suffer through this role. It worked. It made the character so much richer. I'm so glad it happened. I enjoyed the movie a lot. I thought it was great. I mean, you threw out the best Wonka movie expecting me to disagree. I wholeheartedly agree. First Wonka movie sucks. Gene Wilder, great. The one song, good. All the other songs, terrible. Not a good movie, right? It's great source material and a good Gene Wilder, but also a horror show. The Tim Burton one. I was a Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory apologist as a child, all right? I know, this will surprise you. I have a movie podcast, but I'm a big Roald Dahl fan. And what I liked about the Tim Burton one was that 80% of the movie is very accurate to the book, whereas in the old one, it was like 40% accurate to the book, And so there were some things that were much more book accurate that I appreciate because it's such great. The source material it's so good. So then it begs the question: how do you make a prequel with no source material? How do you make it any good? But then they did it. They made it so good. Here's the thing: Johnny Depp, American treasure, of course, right? Justice for Johnny, great actor, but also. It's a Tim Burton movie, and he plays a psychopath, but also in the weirdest, he plays a weirdo, and it's too much, right? Gene Wilder one, he's great, but also a sadist, and he's out here murdering children, which is kind of the point, right? It's supposed to be like, this child's greedy. No, this child's mean. No, this, right? It's saying, you do this bad stuff, you'll be punished. If you're a sweet little orphan boy, He's not an orphan. Scratch that. If you're a sweet little poor boy who's nice to people, you'll be rewarded, right? That's the point. Anyway, Timotee Chalamet is like, what if Wonka was someone who's just so innocent, so trusting, so hardworking, so loyal, and just had a real wonder about him, and had his own trauma, but he wanted to help other people with their trauma. He wanted to make life great for everybody. And it was just so fun to watch. And it was hard to watch at times because they made the city such a dark place with so many dark characters. And that part I didn't like. I mean, it was good, but I didn't like it because it was hard to watch someone so kind be so mistreated. But at the end of the movie, you know what? I'm going to spoil it for everyone. Stop it. Licking his fingers. All right. At the end of the movie, it's a happy ending. And it made it all better. It was a great look. Did I cry a little? Yes. All right. I did. It was great. I think I told you. First Wonka movie, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Gene Wilder, has one good song. The other songs suck. They send him through a nightmare tunnel. I don't know why. I've read the book. I don't remember the nightmare tunnel. All right. And in the second movie, they're like, what if the Oompa Loompas just sang the songs from the book instead of being like Oompa Loompa Doompity Doo? Here's a little rhyme, whatever, What if instead of that, they sang the whole song, which I liked. The song's great, they have a whole song, not just a little rhyme. So I thought it was interesting that they chose to go with the Oompa Loompa rhyme and not like more of the sourcey material kind of stuff, but whatever, it's fine. I thought it was interesting. I have lore questions, but I thought the movie was great. The humor was great. The music was great. The set design, excellent. I think this movie should win Best Costumes. The costumes were fantastic. They were great. And, it's not everyone's style. I get it. But, they go for really silly, over-the-top characters all the time. But it's such a fun, fantastical, Wonkalicious world. It makes him fit so well, and he can be so silly. It was very good. I liked it a lot. It was really good. Easily best Wonka movie. Best Hugh Grant performance by a mile. It's really the crowning achievement of Hugh Grant's career.
I think so too. Here's the thing. I scrolling through the trivia. The top thing was that the director sent him a mock-up of the Oompa Loompa naked. And then Hugh Grant's like, my kids found it disturbing. And the fact that nobody's like, why did your kids
show it to your
see
kids?
it? Did you just get an email and be like, let me throw it up on the TV in the living room? Everybody come look at what I just got. And then be like, oh, I can't believe this. And and then the director being like, if it ever got out, children everywhere will be mortified or will be scarred. And it's like,
so what he's saying is,
don't let it out.
Packing. They're packing. You know what I'm saying?
Why?
They got, they're hoisting, is that what they're saying?
I just, I know, okay, here's the thing. I know if you're animating stuff right, if you're doing it on a certain level where you want it to be done very, very well, there exists an anatomically correct nude model. But I also know it's up to you whether or not a fictional character is just a Ken doll or not, And it's just like like a chest hair, because then you take the clothes, you put it on there, the clothes will act right with the physics engine. It's a whole thing, But you don't have to be like, but he's got a hog or something, or his butt's real weird. Like there's 4 cheeks to it or something, you don't have to do that. You chose to do that. It didn't add anything.
Oh man.
Here's the thing. I liked Hugh Grant for that, though, of him being like, I don't want to be here attitude was very good. Where he's like, sorry, I've started. Once you start, can't stop. I see it when he starts doing this little rhyme. And it's like, yeah, no, that's good stuff right there. He's like, I'm sorry. You should have said something earlier because it's going now. I still think it was in the trailers. And kudos to them, because I feel like it could have easily been cut out. Him rolling up with his little first class trunk to sleep in his stuff. I was like, this makes no sense. And this is weird. But I was like, they could have cut this out. But then, they would have been like every other movie where they cut out a thing that they put in all the trailers. And kudos to them for being like, this is weird and makes no sense. Put it in there anyway. Cody, let me tell you one thing though. All right. let me share with you my favorite. I don't know if you've seen any of the like press junket stuff from this movie. Okay. My favorite was some children talking to Keegan-Michael Key and Timotee Chalamet. Okay. Their opening question, they have their little note cards. These are children, like 9, 11-year-old children.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, Keegan. And he's like, yeah. How did it feel to not direct Get Out?
Yeah.
And both of them, and they just look at each other like, Timothy's like wide-eyed, like, what's about to happen? Like, are we about to have to get like, are we about to shut down an interview with children? And to his credit, Keegan-Michael Key he took it on the chin. He's like, well, it feels okay because that's a scary movie, and I don't like scary movies. And that seemed like it was a scary movie to direct.
Oh my gosh!
And then they turned to Timotee Chalamet, and they're like, Timothy, and he's like trying not to die, obviously, from laughing at what just happened. So he's like, yeah, he's like, you have an accent over one of the E's in your name. Don't you think that's a little pretentious? And then I swear, Timotee Chalamet almost falls out of his chair at that point. And then I think his response was, I think that was his father's point in putting it there, was that it was pretentious. Gosh. And then he's like, how do you even know what that means? I didn't know what pretentious meant until 15 minutes ago. It was very funny. And so it's just these kids roasting these two for their whole like 5 minutes that they get. It was very, very funny.
Oh, that's fun. I love that. Oh, it's the same director as Paddington and Paddington 2. That makes a lot of sense.
That's why
he directed episodes of The Mighty Boosh. That makes also sense, I guess.
Yeah. That's why
that one, old Greg
was naked.
Remember old Greg?
Old Greg.
That's from The Mighty Boosh.
I quote old Greg to Tiffany all the time. I will say to her in the night, I'll whisper to her, I'll be like, you see that? That's old Greg's vagina. I got a mangina. And she'll be like, what? I'm like, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Wow. When I wake her up, I have woken her up, been about an inch from her face. And I'll be like, what do you think of me? She's like, what? I'll be like, make an assessment. Or I'll be telling her how much I love her and be like, I'm going to hurt you. What?
What a horror.
I love you.
Oh my goodness.
You ever drink Bailey's from a shoe? I say it all the time. She doesn't know what any of it means. I've shown her the video so many times. She still remembers none of it.
Ugh.
I'm going to hurt you definitely out of context comes off as bad. But
I think even in context, it's still, oh my gosh.
You don't know me. You don't know what I got. Oh, I'm going to watch that later now, Cody.
Please don't. If you do, don't tell me about it. Yeah, I don't know. It was a goodie. I thought the story was great. I love that they were kind of like, oh, look, he's been traveling 7 seas, and he was a cook on a ship, and he's ready to make his fortune now. And I thought it was really good to kind of explain kind of just who he is and where he got all his stuff. I was like, that's smart. That's a good backstory for him.
Yeah. Now, let's really dig into it for a second here. Okay. Timotee Chalamet. He steps off that boat and he said, he starts his little song. Like you said, 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
7 years he's been sailing the seas.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought, Timothy, he's not been.
He's only like 11 years old.
And then I was like, I had a moment where I thought, wait a second. I think he's like a year younger than I am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he is old enough to have been traveling the world for 7 years and like look at like teenagers and stuff as children versus an adult. He's old pretty enough. Solidly crossed into the first like full adulthood stage, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's old enough to get a piece, if you know what I'm saying, absolutely.
And it just made me feel old, and I'm not happy about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, it's one of those, he had his breakout year in, 2017. That's 6 years ago. We've had 6 years of, And he's been in stuff before then, right? He was in what's it called? In Interstellar. But you know, like when he became like a leading guy, yes, he's in Interstellar. He plays like the middle-aged sibling. You know, there's like the young ones, the teenage ones, and the adult ones. He's the teenage one. And I remember he tells a story where he was like, I was so excited. I was in a Chris Nolan movie. I went to the premiere and I cried because he was like, I was in like 3 minutes of the movie. He had no idea that he wasn't, you know. He was like, I was in the movie, you know. No, you have the tiniest part in this movie, you know. But it's kind of interesting. Yeah, so he's a year younger than my wife. And, a year older, rather.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so I mean, he's legal. So, ladies, get out there. I think he's dating one of the Jenners. So, you know, Kardashians.
Oh, I mean,
Kardashian adjacent.
He looks like he could, you know? Here's the thing. I love the little factoid that it was him and Tom Holland up for the role. And, you know, really? Undoubtedly, can we agree that they made the right choice? Tom Holland, don't get me wrong, I love Tom Holland.
He would have been good too, but in a worse way. Like, he wouldn't have been as good as... First off, Timotee Chalamet has the curls. He's got the Gene Wilder curls that we all, you know...
Like, I guess, so that's the thing, right? I could see Timotee Chalamet turning into Gene Wilder. Like, getting older, kind of getting a little more bitter after years of this, like... Still having the, like, whimsical nature.
Well,
but
that was part of my lore question, was at what point does he start torturing children? You know, because in this one, he's so pure, he's so innocent and so kind. And even like the moral of the movie is, right, like, because he was kind and pure, he won the day and had the allies he needed to overcome the evil corruption, you know. But here we are 20 years later or whatever, and he's like, I'll kill a kid if they're mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, hold on.
I love the videos that have
I'll watch a kid drown in chocolate. That is no problem.
I love the videos that have come out where they're like, Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka, or like Willy Wonka in this movie. It's like, what if the world was so crazy that all your dreams came true? And then the Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka, like, I'll kill a kid. I don't care. Like they're spoiled little rich kids. I'll kill them all. Who cares? Oh, you know, gosh. Like, but I do think because like, so Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka, it is funny, right? Because you were saying like, there is that divide, right? Where the Johnny Depp one and the Gene Wilder one, Johnny Depp one is more accurate to the source material, but the Gene Wilder one came first. So thus it's better, right? But Roald Dahl was involved in that first movie. And like, so like,
Gene the Nightmare Tunnel doesn't sound like Roald Dahl to me. I've read a lot of Roald Dahl books, my dude. Not a lot of nightmare tunnels.
Roald Dahl like would talk about like he's like, oh, Gene Wilder nailed it. He's exactly how in my head Willy Wonka is.
Yeah, Gene Wilder's great.
And you know, like a lot of the differences were Gene Wilder pushing for them, or him being like, what if we did this? So you could argue, well, it's more accurate because Roald Dahl was. Any of the changes were approved by him. Like he was one of the consultants, right?
You could argue.
You could argue it. I'm arguing it right
wrong.
now.
Well, that's what's weird about the Tim Burton is it's in so many ways so close to the book. And then it's like, all right, now we're going to do a whole backstory for Willy Wonka. And also he's pale as a goth. And you're like, hold on, wait, what's happening? His dad's Christopher Lee, and he was a dentist. You're like, sorry, I don't remember this part in the book. You know,
it was all in the glass elevator. That's the sequel, Cody. You got to keep up. You know,
I read it. And let me tell you, don't come out here and slander my Roald Dahl.
Usually, people have not read that book, so they just accept what I just said. I never know if it's true or not.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka and the Great Glass Elevator. All right, that's you understand. And then they name these movies Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is wrong. And then Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but then at the end of the movie, they're like, what if it's Johnny Depp, Tim Burton doing it? You know, it's like, hold up, there's stuff going on. So Tyler, let's talk about the best one.
This one.
I have a critique or two. Well, I have like 1.5 critiques because I loved it. I thought it was great. Like I said, set design. There's so many great practical sets and costumes and things. And then at other times, they kind of overuse CG just a little bit, and it's like, this isn't... It takes away from the scenery just a little bit. And like the first time you see Hugh Grant Oompa Loompa, it's like, This is Uncanny Valley, but it gets a little better at times. But so, I mean, my main thing is like they did such a good job building this great city and it looks so good. And then sometimes they have to rely a little too much on CG and it just looks a little funky, you know? So that's my main complaint of the movie is I feel like if they dialed in the CG a little bit or went slightly more practical, it just would have looked a little better in those scenes. But overall, the look of the movie's great and I loved it. But that's like my main critique was just some of the CG doesn't meet the muster of how good everything else looks, you know?
Yeah. I can't think of any of the spots that didn't look great. I will say that I think the Oompa Loompa classic, where they didn't, it's like, I never understand why they don't do this, but you know, you shoot a movie at 24 frames per second, but then they'll like animate stuff and be like, well, you animate at like 100 frames or like 60 frames per second. And then they mush them together. And it's like, you can just bring the frame rate down on the animated thing so that it's all 24 frames a second. It's weird when he's moving so smoothly and fluidly and always moving just a little bit compared to a normal person that can just sit there still, you know?
Yeah.
But then it's weird if they sit too still, so it's hard line to find. But that's the only kind of thing that I'm like, yeah, when it's a fully CG character, that almost always is like that.
Yeah, so it's... I have lore questions about the Oompa Loompa too. So in the books, it's like, right, the Oompa Loompas love the cocoa bean, and so he's like, well, hey, look. So in this one, he gets the Oompa Loompa right away, but in the books, it's like, well, he had a bunch of workers, and he fired people because people were selling his secrets to Slugworth, so he's like, you guys are all fired. I'm bringing Oompa Loompas to do the work. I'll pay him in chocolate. So it's kind of interesting that in this one, they're like, he's paired with... And also, another change, a big change there is like, the Oompa Loompas are pretty primitive, I think, in the book. Mm-hmm. And in this one, they're like, well, he's got a jetpack. You're like, hold up, which is fine. I don't have a problem with it. It's just kind of interesting that like they do a really good job of like the background of Willy Wonka, but they were also just like, let's just have fun and make Hugh Grant do all the stuff he hates as an Oompa Loompa, you know? Which once again is not a problem. I just think it's interesting where they departed from the lore a bit.
Now here, I will defend one thing because something that I thought was weird, which actually like the point you're making makes me take back the criticism that I had of it, which was that I was like, it seemed weird the way that he got the Oompa Loompa help. But it's because it was like, well, he just got the one guy. He's supposed to have all of them. But it makes sense because he just offers the one guy the position as a taster, which then leaves it open to be like, all right, get the rest. It'd be like, well, I need workers now. There's a whole race of people on this island that I can go and pay them all in chocolate. They'd all take the same deal, so let's do that.
Yeah.
Because he just gives him.
I mean, it's somewhat a redemption, right, for the Oompa Loompas. They're no longer like a primitive whatever. They're like, no, they're like a civilization. They have technology. They're the boats.
Swiss.
They have fancy little suits.
Yeah, they got their little Swiss guard suits.
I've been exiled, and he hops in his little motorboat, and he's got his little like sailor outfit on. You're like, look at you go.
Yeah, I did. I like the idea of them being like rich, but because then you could play with the like, well, they are like by any normal standards, like very advanced and well off, but they only care about the cocoa bean. And so there's so few of that they're like, oh yeah, we're poor. But it's like, but you all wear ascots, which feels like you have to make above a certain threshold of income to wear an ascot. Yeah. It seems like that's a rule.
Oh yeah, no, it is. I thought it was, so. I told you Bae didn't like it that much.
Bailey's wrong.
I don't know that she identified with the humor as much or didn't appreciate the song, but she did specifically mention she just wanted like more time in the factory. She wanted to be in the chocolate factory with the chocolate river and the flowers and stuff, and it's just like it was kind of just there for a scene. And at the end, they're like, "This is what I'm gonna make," you know. Which I respect what she's saying. I just think she's really wrong because it was a great movie. You know? Right.
Also, as a prequel, it's like, but I want it. It's like going to see the first
episode
a lot of
of
Star Wars.
Story. I'm like, yeah.
And being like, but I wanted
prequel is.
Yeah. Where's Darth Vader? You know? Mm-hmm. Where's Vader? Where's Luke? This movie sucks because there's no Vader. And it's like, look, I'm here to tell you it's a perfect film. Because I read it that one time in like some random AI generated article, probably. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, that checks out. Let's back. Well, I love the humor. I love the rhyming. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the jokes they made. And I mean, Timothy, he said, it was so impressive to see him change a pace because everything he's done has been quite serious.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was so fun to watch him, like, not just like be in a fun movie, but like crush it. He did great. He was so charismatic. Nailed it. Now, let me tell you my lead up to this movie, aside from seeing the Hugh Grant interviews. Couldn't sleep the other night.
Mm-hmm.
And I got Netflix, right? I was like, whatever, I'll watch a movie, you know? I watched that World War I documentary that we remember when the theater died for the last 20 minutes of Peter Jackson's World War I documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old.
Yeah.
The audio cut out. Anyway, I watched the last 20 minutes of that. Don't worry, it wasn't very helpful. They were talking about how terrible it was to go home too. So anyway, World War I sucks. Then I watched the Stamp special. Then I was like, well, Call Me By Your Name is on my list. And Bailey watched it and she wanted to know my thoughts on it. I'll crank out Call Me By Your Name at 3 a.m. in my bed. So I watched Call Me By Your Name. I don't know how much you know about this movie. Honestly?
It's about young gay boys.
Yes. Honestly, a good movie.
Yeah.
It was Timotee Chalamet's breakout role. Kids, close your ears. He does sex to a peach. All right. He's sitting in his bedroom and he's like, you know, this peach, it's kind of got a little, it's got a little holy part. What if uh-oh. All right. Things are happening. All right. So he does sex to a peach, and I saw that movie. 2 days later, saw him in Wonka. And let me tell you, it's a very different experience. All right. When you seen him kissing on Armie Hammer and doing sex to a peach, and then you see him saving an orphan's life, it's like, it's just jarring. He's very good in both movies, but I can't think of two more different movies than Call Me By Your Name and Wonka. So anyway, how was that not a bigger meme? You know what I'm saying? Like, just him holding the peach. It should have been, I get it, it's a little indie movie, and it's like an LGBT kind of movie, and who else? Not that people watch it. But I'm upset that more... Did you know this? Did you know about the peach?
I remember people talking about a lot of stuff that happened in that movie. I feel like what it's been overshadowed by is Timotee Chalamet being having a very angular face, and Armie Hammer wanting to eat people.
I mean, that was later, you know?
I mean, it was just the time. Recently. It's really always.
2017, Call Me By Your Name. Armie Hammer comes out as a cannibal. That's like 2021.
Forced out.
That's like pandemic era, all right? Yeah. So,
look,
I mean...
I'm here to tell you, Cody, if you have whatever fetish you want in the privacy of your home with consenting adults, but then you find out more. Here's the thing. Armie Hammer. Let's talk about Armie Hammer and his fictitious relationship with Timmy Chalamet. Okay. Armie Hammer. Everyone was like, oh, like, here's the thing with Armie Hammer. Like, his previous girlfriends, GFs as some people call them, came out and they were like, yeah, he has a weird cannibal fetish. To which I've responded and still respond. There's a weird thing for you to be just coming out in a dude for, right? And then you find out more about him and his whole family, and you're like, oh, yeah, I guess we'll cancel him. If we have to say it's for the cannibal thing, I guess we'll do it. But like, Cody, if you're going up to Bailey like, I'm gonna pretend like I'm eating you, then just don't really do it. Don't really take a chunk. You know?
That's the thing about like S&M stuff too, right? Like, a sadist isn't someone who likes hurting people. It's someone who likes pretending to hurt people, right? I've heard that said.
I think the sadist does enjoy causing the pain, though.
But it's simulated. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you're not a crazy person, if it's just a fetish thing, then yes. Let's talk about it, Cody. Let's get into the BDSM community. All right. I know things about this community, Cody. Don't ask me how now. That's private. I watched a lot of CSI with my wife. Okay. It's all about trust, and it's about control and releasing control. That's why you see a lot of these like dudes who are real. You see a lot of like type A personality, big corporate boardroom type guys. They go into these BDSM things and they're like, step on me, mommy, because they want to be controlled. They want to be dominated, Cody.
You're right. Okay.
And it's like, Cody, who has all the control in the relationship? Is it the dom or the sub? You're a fool because you were going to say the dom, but it's the sub because they
Dominic
can say
Toretto's never
stop.
lost a fight in his life.
We can't talk about him anymore. He assaulted some people, and now we can't talk about him. It's over. He killed the family. We hate him now.
I have a note that says giraffe. There's a giraffe in this movie.
There is a giraffe that is heavily featured in the movie.
Abigail, just delightful.
She is. She's a good girl, but she was definitely. Was she real? That's what I want to know. At any point, was she real?
Know. We'll never know.
Go into the credits.
I wrote down a couple. I didn't write down much of like quotes, but I giggled so much. I really enjoyed Willy Wonka convincing the bodyguard guy to seduce the Olivia Colman's character, and he's like, show a little whatever, give her some knee. You really want to make her sigh? Give her some thigh. And I was like, okay, but what's he gonna, and then immediately he's in the lederhosen, and she thinks he's a Bavarian, royal. I was like, this is great. And I love that, like, later in the movie, someone comes to their house and they're in like short silk robes. They just made a little love nest out of that. they gave up on the front of the inn. They're just like, nah, this is just a love nest now, and we're in bliss. And I love that turn. I forget whatever he names his little washing machine run by the dog.
Yeah.
But I just love the little detail that he goes through the whole name. Is like, don't make me say that again. Like, I don't know. He did so good. And I hope, I can't tell what's going on out there. All right. I would love for them to remake Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Do it. Do it with Timothy Chalamet.
That would be good, right? Because I was like, how can
so
they do
good,
it?
I would want to watch. I would want to do it.
I would
He was
definitely.
so good at it. This director directed Paddington 1 and 2, both well received. He directed this, which I thought was great. Give him another one. Doesn't have to be right away. In a few years, pop out another one.
Let's make a trilogy out of it, okay?
And then do the Great Glass Elevator too. Do the whole thing.
We got to make the movie about him doing his thing and then shutting it all down, getting the Oompa Loompas in there.
Oh, another prequel.
So it ends on the downer. It ends on the downer, Cody, because that's
another lore thing, is that Slugworth is in business in the next one, and then in this one they put him away. So what's going on with that,
He gets out. He breaks out. He's coming for him. But also, I don't know if what it is in the book, right? Because I know, like, in the Willy, which one's the one that's not real? The Gene Wilder one,
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this is Slugworth, and then at the end he's like, he was my minion the whole time, and it's like, so you're big. Here's the thing that I hate about it. The whole thing, right, is people would be like, he's out here fighting against the man. And I'm like, his biggest competitor is a henchman of his. So I feel like he is the man to fight against. You know what I'm saying? It seems like you're out here like he's like, like the, fighting the bourgeoisie and all that. But it seems like he is the bourgeoisie, right? He is the ones that's living in a castle with slave labor force, having fake businesses as his rivals. That's what it feels like.
Also, he killed several children.
He did kill several children with zero consequences.
I mean, look, I'm not saying it's a perfect system, but it works.
Well, and it's even if, because you can be like Tiffany and you can argue that he didn't kill any kids, but he was prepared to kill those kids.
Yeah. I will say too, another little detail I loved in the movie. First off, if an orphan in a little elevator lift gives you advice, take it. But I really like that she's like, read the fine print. And then he reads it and he's like, everything seems fine. And then later you learn he doesn't know how to read. I was like, oh, that's great. That's perfect. That is, you set it up and then you knocked it out of the park. I love that little detail.
Let me hit you with the probably the realest question you've ever been hit with in your whole life, Cody.
Yeah.
Because there's the moment where he says, I've got I've got my chocolate, and for everything else, I just rely on the kindness of strangers.
Hmm.
Have you ever had a psycho friend like this that it's like, how do you breathe on a daily basis? And they're like, yeah, I just started my new job as VP of corporate directing at Google or something because my friend plays golf with the president of the company. It's like, I hate you.
Absolutely.
I hate everything about you. Am I the friend? I hope I'm not. I hope it's somebody else. I hope it's Hollywood Rob. But it's definitely not, because that man works for his earnings.
I won't out anyone, but I do know someone like this, but they also are like a good person and they work hard and they're smart. Oh. So it's like, it's not quite that, but it is where it's just like, hold on, you know the GM of the Chiefs and they're letting you live in their mansion since they moved out of town?
Yeah.
Rent free? Okay, cool. Oh, your other friend? Oh, you're not staying there anymore. That's fine. Oh, your other friend who owns a luxury apartment in River Market just had a room to spare and was like, I'm just kind of lonely. You can share my apartment with me. You know, I'm just like, man, I need better friends. Tyler, why don't you got a luxury condo with a spare bedroom for me? That's my question.
I'm working on it, man. Look, here's the thing. You've forgotten about the challenge I laid down. Every day that I've not moved back there and owning a house, it stresses me out more and more because I still plan on doing this contest. And I'm like, at this rate, I'm going to have like a month to do this theater room. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you can live in the theater room if you want, but it's going to be decked out, Cody. Here's the thing.
I do like a theater room.
I'm not necessarily going to say, right, that the friend that a friend in this situation is a bad person, because we can all agree that Willy Wonka is a good guy. And that's why he can rely on the kindness of strangers, because he's a good person. He helps them out and they help him out and they like having him around. It's the reason that these people can just kind of drift through life. I'm just talking about, like, there's sometimes where you have a friend that has a flaw, like not being able to read. And you're like, you are so successful and I have to pay rent late sometimes. And it makes me so mad. I just wish, it's like, look, I just wish I had a millionaire friend that would swoop in and be like, oh, here's a check for 20 grand just to be like, yeah, thanks for coming to my bar mitzvah or whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I don't have those friends. Why can't you be that for me? I
was hoping you would be that for me.
Cody, so you are.
What are we even doing here?
Blonde. You have an economics degree.
I'm basically Donald Trump. But,
You're basically Donald Trump.
50 years ago.
I don't know what more you need to be successful. You're white and have a bachelor's degree. You basically
get my dad to loan me like $4 million. I'd be cruising, dude.
Your parents own a house in California. All right. That's what you don't seem to understand.
I mean, if you bought a house 31 years ago in California and it wasn't paid off yet, would that be a red flag to you?
Yes.
That's the real question.
The loan is a 30-year loan, so yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, keep going. Yeah. Oh, man. Tyler, look, we got a little off track.
Yeah.
I ran out of notes. I had a really good one. But
what was it?
We already covered it, so it's like not even.
But what was your note that you were so proud of?
I already talked about it, but let's see. I love that we did this to Hugh Grant. So good. I mean, no, you answered all my questions, all my hopes and dreams. What was your favorite song?
I mean, I really liked the. Here's the thing, and I think it's because I started out being like, oh, I hate this song. But I liked the Hat Full of Dreams because I really didn't like it at first. And then I started to like it. But then I thought, I was like, this is a good, it's just a good soundtrack. It's good. It got good songs.
Hat Full of Dreams was a good one. Scrub was really good. That was a lot of fun. Sweet Tooth was another fun one. Not my favorite, but it was fun.
I was impressed.
That was cute.
The amount of ones that it's because you see so often, right, where it's like, oh, is it really them singing, or it's like it doesn't sound good. Timotee Chalamet's got some pipes on it.
He did well.
Like he nailed all the singing, and it's singing. He did it.
I think a World of Your Own was my favorite though. Towards the end.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one.
That was a really good one. But I mean, he did a good job. it was a lot of fun, but it was a very heartfelt movie where it's just like, it was, you know, it's hard to watch them suffer and be in a difficult world, but he was just so good, you know, and everything worked out. It was a sweet little movie, you know, like a nice piece of chocolate, but I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Let me ask you the hard question here, Cody.
Do it.
This is as a man to another man, okay?
Yeah.
How much did you blubber when you know, he looked up from his little chocolate bar and his mom was standing there?
Oh, yeah, no. I welled, you know? I welled up. I would never replace my mom because I love her and she's the best. But if I had to live in an alternate universe, I would want Sally Hawkins to be my mom, you know? And that's why it made me tear up so much, you know?
And can we just say shout out to the like
Oh, that's another one. Sally Hawkins did sex with a fish god. So I mean, there's all kinds
we've established
of
that before.
in this movie, you know? And they're just out here being like, look, it's a family film. Like, you done stuff, you know? I know for a fact you done stuff.
Here's the thing. I appreciated the shout out to the riverboat like gypsy-esque lifestyle that they used as his backstory. Because that's like a real like whole community of people that they have over in the Europe, especially specifically in the UK. And I was like, that is no one ever brings that up.
I also thought it was interesting too because she leaves him his note in that bar of chocolate, right? And he finally eats it, and it's interesting. Bailey was like, "I was gonna say a secret ingredient's love," and I was like, "It could never be so simple." It was really sweet that it was like, "Hey, it doesn't matter. The chocolate's about who you share it with," and he's like, "I'm gonna share it with these people." You know, it was nice. It was a great movie, but it was also a lot of fun. Really well made. I think the director did a great job.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of a tall order to make a musical origin story of a beloved children's book and make it like good and charming and fun, but also heartfelt and like have meaning at the same time. I also, what's his name? The guy, Lucas, I forget his name. The guy who hosts Great British Bake Off. He has no hair. In this movie, he plays the third guy. I thought his joke of saying the obvious thing every time wasn't a great joke until the very end. And I was like, oh, he nailed that one. And even in the movie, they're like, oh, that was a good one. You know, like his friends are like, oh, we liked it. We liked it that time. I was like, you know, it paid off. It was great.
I mean, the point was like, that's the good thing. Like, if you're going to do that, right, you have to have that one time that it does land where like everybody can be like, oh yeah, no, the joke has sucked to this point, but that was good time. You know,
but the commitment to it, you know, and yeah, Keegan-Michael Key was great. I was going to ask you about that. As a big boy, did you like the big boy jokes?
Like him trying to get up and being like, "Oh, I'm gonna need some help," you know, and like I was just like, "Oh, if I had a nickel."
I also enjoyed that they acknowledged the ridiculousness of it. It was like, it's been 2 weeks. Like, what happened? You know,
he's like, "I've gained 150 pounds in the last 7 days," or something like that. Like, so good. Like,
he was really good in it. The sweet tooth thing at the end when they're like dancing with the ribbons and like just being so silly, you know, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good gags, but like there's the gag where like he has that special night out chocolate where like it makes you call your ex and pass out and do all the stuff, you know, and then it's this, you know, the first person they give it to was calling the second person they give it to, and then they get, you know, and like even them just looking at each other being like, what are the odds? You know, can we believe we got these people back together? You know,
if nothing else, like if nothing else can give this movie a stamp of being a good movie, the amount of audible gasps I heard when she was like, you know, like Ozzy or whatever his name was, like
Basil,
she called
Basil,
and everybody was like, like in the theater, people gasped.
Everyone clocked it. Yeah,
it's like, that's man. A good. That you nailed a dumb joke.
They pulled it off. Yeah,
and like everybody, it feel like this movie nailed so many. Like this movie, I think did what so many movies recently fail at doing. It's just a fun time, and I love that. So about halfway through the movie, so when they were leaving the zoo, right? Mm-hmm. I had a moment where, and it kind of happens, right? Because the cop clocks him and he gets the run in with the police chief, the chief of police. But I was like, for this movie to be perfect in my eyes, there has to be no moment where Willy Wonka like loses necessarily. And even though it does end up actually happening where he does get like defeated and he's like gives up and he's like, I'm gonna leave.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way they did that didn't make me think like, well, they did it. They did the thing that every other movie did where it's like, well, let's just be depressing for 5 minutes and now we're back to being
Mm-hmm.
happy. It's like, no, it felt like
Mm-hmm.
they were like, hey, I felt like even in that moment, it was like, you'll win. We're just gonna offer, like, even him being like, I give up is him getting what they all wanted, which was to be free.
Mm.
He was just gonna be sad. It was him choosing
Yeah.
to be sad to help everyone else. And I was like, okay, this is fine. It's not like the bad guys being like, no, I won because secretly Noodle was my minion the whole time or something, like, which
Mm-hmm.
that's so many movies do crap like that nowadays. And it bugs me so much. It was like, no, the power of friendship and love and imagination was the best and could never be beaten. Like I
Yeah.
liked it, right? It was just fun, like him
Yeah.
being able to pull anything they ever needed literally out of his hat, was, and that never went away, right? It was never like
Yeah.
we've captured the hat. Like never pulled that maneuver,
Yeah.
like, so I was so worried they were going to do something dumb like that, but they didn't, Cody. I'm proud of them. They just made Keegan Michael Key fatter and it made me happy.
That's why I think the big selling point of the way the director nailed it was the direction he picked. They committed to it, and they're like,
Yeah.
we didn't just make Keegan Michael Key a little fat. We made him so big that he almost didn't make it out of the car. Like, and he said that car shrunk. And it's like, you
Yeah.
know what? We've all been there. Like, sorry, my pants shrunk. It's like, nope, nope. I put on 20 pounds, but let's say the pants shrunk. Like, and I like, and same with like the Chocolate Cartel, make them all ridiculous, but so ridiculously ridiculous that, but they're still the villains of the movie and you hate them, but also, like everything they did, they went 100% into it and that's what makes it work. And if they had given it 70% effort, it would not have been a great movie, but they did it. They went all the way in, they held the vision, they cast it well, they wrote good songs, and I thought it was great.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if Roald Dahl did this as well in the books as they've done it in the movies. Like, I don't know if that's the point of his books,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I think it is right where he tackles very heavy, very adult world
Oh,
issues in very whimsical ways, right?
almost all of his books are like that, right? Like Matilda, all of his children are orphaned or mistreated or befall tragedy or live in a very unfair and difficult to deal with world. And even when you read his autobiography, it's like that, where it's just like, here's something terrible happened to me as a kid, and I couldn't help it because there were grown-ups that wouldn't believe me. And then you read his books and you see these kids triumph over, these difficult situations, these difficult parents, these villains of different sorts, whether it's magical or not. Some of his books are more mystical than others, but it's very much like a theme of his books. And there's evil and difficult things to overcome as a child, but you do. And that, so yeah. So I think the movie keeps with the spirit of a lot of his books that, like, I don't know, you can be a kind and good person and overcome evil and difficult circumstances.
Yeah. And I mean, even like you're saying, the cartel, like it's so accurate to how business works in the real world. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so ridiculous. It's like, what are they hoarding? Are they sitting on billions of dollars causing people to starve? No, they're watering down their chocolate and hoarding the chocolate to bribe the police with chocolate. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, let's take this very real, like horrific modern day adult issue and then what if we just replaced money with chocolate? And it makes everything so ridiculous that
Mm-hmm.
you can have these whimsical fun movies that would do be like, because yeah, I mean, in the real world, let's be real, in the US and all over the world, like people are corrupt, police get bribed, business, big businesses, shut down, buy out, or like do horrible things to push out smaller businesses that are doing stuff better, like
Mm-hmm.
it happens all the time, but this is all with chocolate. And
Yeah.
it's funny and it's
Mm-hmm.
you know And it's like nothing bad. It's not like the police, they don't, well, they do try to kill him. I guess they try to blow him up, but it's like with a comical pile of dynamite.
Well, even when they waterboard him, it's like, this is horrifying. And they're like, oh, he can't hear the threat because he's being waterboarded. And it becomes like a comedy scene. You're like, okay, well, that's
like, I've got
that's
water
a pretty good
ears.
bit. I was horrified at first because I didn't want to watch Wonka get waterboarded, but also this is kind of funny.
Yeah, but
it takes that turn. And it's the same with the dynamite. You're like, oh no, the boat's, that's a lot of dynamite. And then, Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa is like, has a little vest on and, you're like, well, this is fun too,
Him swimming back to shore, he's like, after about 4 miles. Yeah, after 4 miles, I had an epiphany.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just stuff like that. It's like everything, if you dial it up so far that it's so ridiculous that it makes it fun and you can, have a good time. And like, even, like you talk about the water. Like the chief of police being like, I'm sorry, man, this isn't me. I don't know how I got to this point, him like starting to have a moment where you're like, oh, maybe he won't go through with it, but then he does, and it's can I share with you, Cody, some of my favorite little tidbits from the trivia section real quick?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this one gets kind of repeated a few times in different forms, but the top one that pops up is the director Paul King said he gained about 50 pounds from all the chocolate.
Excellent.
And he says it's a miracle, meaning that I'm sure there's a little bit of like, I hate him. That Timotee Chalamet is still slim and handsome after working on a movie surrounded by chocolate. So much chocolate that in another thing, it talked about like he got sick multiple times due to the just volume of chocolate he had to eat.
Stop.
Because they just made him see, and it's like there's so many people like in here in some of the news articles and stuff I read. It's like almost everybody's like, yeah, no, almost everybody involved in this movie gained a noticeable amount of weight because of the chocolate involved, except for Timotee Chalamet, and everybody will remark on that. It's like, how did he not gain any weight? I think it's because he got sick so many times, so he probably like would throw it all up after being made to eat so much. But that was my favorite thing, was just like everybody like, yeah, I gained weight. He didn't. What a how, why? Like a lot of stuff. Like there's plenty of stuff that's weird. I liked this one because I feel like this is one of those things that intentionally done. Then now that I know it, it's cooler. Is he drops his coin down? He drops his sovereign into the drain.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, in the Willy Wonka, Charlie Bucket finds a sovereign in the drain.
Oh my goodness, you're right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
It's good, isn't it? And you're like, that was absolutely intentional, right?
They do a good job, right? Because even Willy Wonka in this one, at the end, he shares his precious chocolate bar from his mom. Mm-hmm. And that's like a big thing in the Charlie and Chocolate Factory book, right? Is that once a year, Charlie gets a chocolate bar and he shares it with his whole family. Like it's his birthday present, and he breaks it into pieces and gives one to all 4 grandparents and his parents, and so it's kind of interesting. I feel like they kind of foreshadow what Charlie, what's his last name? Anyway,
Bucket.
Charlie Bucket's, what he goes through as well. It's very similar. So kind of cool foreshadowing for the book.
Yeah, I definitely think of all of the Roald Dahl stuff, I feel like this one cared the most about the legacy of not just of Roald Dahl and the books and all of his books and and the previous Wonka movies, Whereas I feel like everybody, it seems like a lot of times, especially with someone like Roald Dahl, you get people be like, I'm going to do this right, and they're like, forget everything else. Whereas this one's like, no. All of the previous stuff, there's people who love it. And there's people who love the book and not the movies. There's people who love one of the movies, and people who love the other movie. So I feel like this one more so than any of the other, just in general, like kids stuff, modern day kid like remakes and stuff. Tried to incorporate everything, because like I said earlier, like I could see the only difference between Timotee Chalamet's Wonka and Gene Wilder's Wonka is Gene Wilder is in that position of power and is willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. But the second you show that you don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, he rips it away. And he's like, nope, you're a bad person. Whereas, this Wonka would never, I think,
Yeah.
be like, no, you are all best. But
He'll
like,
trust you time and time again.
But you see him get burned by that over and over and over again. So like, it's realistic to see him becoming that guy.
He
that
does
would
become a
murder
recluse,
children.
right? He shuts himself away from society. Yeah, absolutely. It was great. I mean, and Roald Dahl, great source material. There's a lot of great Roald Dahl movies, but it was cool to see one done that was like, it's not a direct, whatever.
It just hits the
It's not
vibes.
directly from anything, right? They're like, hey, we're going to take this story, this character, but we're going to make our own story about it. So it was cool to see it done with such care and done so well.
Yeah, I mean, even down to
I don't know if you know this, but we're out of Roald Dahls. There's no more Roald Dahls.
Yeah.
He's not making anything more.
Yeah.
He's dead.
He did die.
Dead.
I can't confirm
but
that.
There's what's it called? The Matilda musical they just made was pretty good too, actually, from last year.
I don't watch kids movies,
It's pretty good.
Except for Wonka. But yeah, I mean, even like all of anything he would write or anything he would do or attached to Wonka being in the Roald Dahl, like a handwriting, like the way that he wrote. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's a nice little touch. Nice little nugget just placed right there on my tongue, for my appreciation.
So, are you ready to give it a grade?
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
All right. You're going to be so disappointed in me, so do you want to give yours first?
It's an A+, Cody. Just give it its D and let's move on.
Well, I'm going to drop an A- on it. Very good. Liked it a lot. I needed it a little, hey,
Tell me what's wrong.
The A+,
tell me what it could have done.
You gotta give me better. You gotta nail all the visuals, not just most of the visuals, See, I have such great direction. Some of the CG, it just, I wanted a little better, or I want a little less CG, or I want a little more fine CG.
Did you see this in like a big theater or anything? Or did just a regular theater?
Regular theater.
I was wondering if it was due to like you seen it in like an IMAX or something, because I never noticed anything that really took me out of it. Because I was like, most of the time the Oompa Loompa moving weird, I just kind of chalked it up to like, he's so freakishly small that it's gonna look weird next to a person.
Yeah. I do appreciate that they went all in. They're like, no, he's not little person size. They're like a foot tall, or whatever. Which 8 inches or.
I think we've all gone crazy. Okay, let me tell you my conspiracy here, because I was like, look, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, they're little people. Also, if you've seen that movie, there is one Oompa Loompa that is so much hotter than the other Oompa Loompas, and it drives me nuts every time.
No.
If you look up the Oompa Loompas, you know the one I'm talking about. You will pick him out of the lineup immediately. But I said to Tiffany, I was like, well, they were little person size, and then the Oompa Loompas in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, they made very small through CG. It is one person, and he is very small, but then they made him even tinier.
Yeah. Deep Roy is his name. I don't know why I know this.
She pointed out that there are some moments, I think, where they show some Oompa Loompas, and they use forced perspective to make those Oompa Loompas incredibly tiny.
Really?
Like they do try to go for them being very, very small, but we remember them as being little person size because they're always shown next to children.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's one scene I think where it shows like it's supposed to be him interacting, like Wonka interacting with one of them, and it's like, oh no, they are supposed to be like 2 feet at most tall.
All right.
I don't know. You've read the books, Cody. How big are they in the book?
I don't know.
In the source material.
Dimensions. I think they're like a foot tall though, right? I think they went like full canon on that in this one. I think they're supposed to be that big.
He's quite a whopper. Call him Lofty.
Yeah.
It's a good time. You think this is going to win any awards?
I don't know. It could get song, could get costume. I don't think it's a shoo-in for music, else. Right? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, there's a small chance it gets nominated for adapted screenplay.
I was gonna say
that's kind of an odds and ends category, but it counts as adapted because it's based on previous works characters, so it counts as an adapted screenplay. So it might get one of those. But yeah, it could win some of those like Kids' Choice Awards or something like that. Like Timotee Chalamet might get a nod for actor or something like that. But
oh yeah, I think it's gonna win Kids because I don't know.
It's a
what
long
kids
shot
movies
for a
come out,
musical or
but,
comedy Golden Globe, right? Because that's kind of a broad category too, because they do it by those categories. But I mean, I liked it a lot. I don't know what its scores are. I don't think its Metacritic is super high.
You think it'll win a
Pretty
BAFTA?
good.
Everyone loves the BAFTAs, Cody.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Rowan Atkinson's in it, so it's got to win some British award, right?
Oh yeah, that was a fun addition.
Yeah.
The 500 Chocoholic Monks. I was like, that's pretty good. That's a nice touch.
Oh yeah.
83 tomato meter, 90 audience score. That's pretty good.
Do you want to hazard a guess on the budget box office situation?
It's got to be like a 80 million guy, or is it more? 80 million budget, 120 budget,
125.
125 budget. The box, I don't know. It's still new, right? It's only been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Opening weekend, 35 million. I'm hoping.
Well, I gotta scroll down to somewhere where it'll give me the opening weekend was 39.
Oh, it's pretty close.
Gross worldwide, 254.
Really? Oh, I'm so glad it made its money back. That's great.
Which is funny because on the other side, another movie that came out around the same time was Aquaman 2, and somebody asked, I don't know if it's an interview or like in a Twitter thread or something, but somebody asked Jason Momoa, like, you think you'll come back, like return for Aquaman? Like if and it was kind of like, if it does really well, probably. But he was like, it's not looking good, but we'll see. Like, oh, it's not looking good.
Oh no,
because the movie's not doing very well. It's like got a 13 or something % like on its opening day.
No, it's too bad.
But it was just really funny because he was just like, probably not.
Yeah. I mean, the movie, they've been delaying that one for a while.
Yeah. The DCEU officially dead. The Wonka EU officially birthed.
Kicked off, dude. Just started.
Just slithered out of the womb.
Try to stop us, dude. Yeah.
Like a giraffe.
Well,
Tyler,
it's been a pleasure. Couldn't recommend this one enough. Check it out. A nice family movie. A lot of fun, a lot of joy. If you don't like it, check yourself, because I will divorce you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not above it. I'm just kidding. If
nothing else, like there's a sequence in this movie where they do it. They fulfill the dream. They're doing it. And I thought every second of that sequence, and then he wakes up or something, But no, it's like, no, they worked hard. They did it. They nailed it. They made the store, and then the chocolate got messed with. And I was like,
yeah.
So this was all real. This was all happening.
Yeah, that was a bummer. It was such a cool scene. You're like, oh, look at the shop. It's so awesome. Never forget to eat the basket. Would you like your change in cash or chocolate? It was great.
Yeah. Which I think was fun. And then to be like, okay, let's have this really fun moment. And then be like, okay, but how do we make it so they didn't just win? So it's like, but I thought that was fun. It was all fun. Them dancing with the balloons. Delightful. Yeah, the golden ticket, Cody.
Oh yeah,
that was Tiffany's favorite part. As a lifelong Wonka fan, she loved the golden ticket in his little chocolate bar from his mom. Cody, let me ask you one thing before we go. I know I've asked you a lot of things. Let me ask you another thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember growing up, just to make probably both of our wives jealous, honestly? You remember growing up with Wonka chocolate?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You remember going to the store, buying a Wonka bar?
Yeah. I mean, I remember when they were doing the whatchamacallits.
Scrumdiddlyumptious. They still have whatchamacallits. How dare you, sir?
But then I know when the 05, they dropped a ton of Wonka stuff.
You remember them doing the golden ticket? The
big size bar and stuff. Yeah, they had a campaign with the golden tickets,
the real golden tickets and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Had the foil wrapping on them and everything.
Mm-hmm. I remember it.
Yeah.
All too well.
Nerds used to be Wonka. As
Taylor Swift said.
Everything was Wonka. You know what happened to Wonka, Cody? Nestle killed it.
Oh.
They offloaded all their debt onto Wonka Candy Company and then declared bankruptcy.
That feels like kind of a Slugworth move.
Is there a company? Who is Slugworth if not Nestle, which ended up owning? Roald Dahl he rolled over in his grave when they sold Wonka to Nestle.
Yeah,
gave them the rights to it. Oh my gosh! If he's the one who did it, it invalidates
and also,
everything.
Why didn't they give it to Cadbury? Cadbury would have done a way better job with it, and it's British.
Doesn't Nestle own
what
Cadbury?
What are they even doing, dude?
Didn't they buy Cadbury?
They probably did.
Here's the thing: bring it back. Oh, I was going to be mad about something.
Are they not going to?
Let me be mad about something. They have not brought it back. But if you go to Wonka.com, you can buy hat-shaped gummies.
What?
It's a chocolate-based film series of sorts.
It's a chocolate factory. Magic Hat gummies. This turns your tongue blue. Do better. You know? I mean, they do look fun. Where's the chocolate?
I'm so mad about this, Cody.
Where's the chocolate, dude? Should have been ready with the chocolate. Also, I know that it's not possible. I know you can't mass produce it and make it amazing, but it should be like Lind or Ghirardelli level chocolate. Like, it should be great chocolate. And I know that that's going to mess with your margin because the kids are going to want it, but I want it. Like, if you're going to make Wonka chocolate, it should be fantastical flavors and it should be excellent.
It seems like a smaller batch like brand, right? Where it is more expensive. Right. Make it to where, because it only needs, if people can only afford one bar a year, then that fits with the branding, right? You know, like, don't make it like $200 for a bar.
Cabbage soup every day, every day. But on my birthday, I can buy one of these. We
all remember how big these bars were. You make that bar like $20.
They were like people symphony size, like the big symphony giant holiday size.
Yeah. Like drop it. It's $20. It's the best chocolate you've ever had. You know,
absolutely.
Like really, just you know. It's a travesty what they did to the Wonka brand. It makes me mad every day. If you want a Wonka bar, the only people who will sell you a Wonka bar now is a weed dispensary that sells you them laced with weed. That's it. That's the only place you can get it. I hate Nestle. Stop stealing water from the kids and stop killing everything we love. Okay.
Yep.
We'll give Wonka an A+. We'll give Nestle an F-.
Perfect.
How about that?
Love it. Well, thank everyone for listening. Rate us, share us, review us. If you find any Wonka candy bars, send them to us. You know what I'm saying? And until next time, watch movies.
And have opinions.
I'm just so mad now. I gotta watch Wonka to lift my spirits.
Eat some of those weed-laced candy bars. That'd lift your spirit.
Hold on. Was he just making drug candy? Is that what happened?